notebook using the Disney Cricut cartridge Winnie the Pooh, or Winnie and Friends I think it's actually called. So the first thing, as usual, that I did is that I set out and designed my front cover of the notebook on my gypsy. So we're going to take a closer look at that just to give you a rough idea of what I've done, and then we're going to get on to the cutting. Okay, so the first thing that I did, as usual, is I created my template, which is the base size of my notebook front cover, which is going to be in real dial size. So make sure you click that little button on, it's important, that it is 6 inches wide by 8.25 inches long. Okay, so that is my size template. I then created the actual design on using that template showing through, so make sure your little eye is opened on your tabs at the top here. And basically I've used several different cartridges, including the Winnie the Pooh one. I used some images, some of the icons for the clouds and the fence, etc. The grass came from a child's year, and then the hills that I had separately came from paper dolls. So I've got a couple, just 3 cartridges there that I use, plus the Winnie the Pooh font cartridge for the name that's going in the clouds. So I've then, as you can see, I've set it out. It's a few sort of hilly, grassy land with the fence and Winnie sitting on top of the fence, the clouds with the name in, a little bit of space at the top, don't forget, because you need to remember that you're going to be putting the ring binders on. If you're going to use this as a card, then you don't need to worry, you can move it all up a little bit. Okay, so then again, now when I'm getting to the part where I'm going to be cutting, I've layered my mats following. Now I always label them, and the first one has GRN for green, BRN for brown, and white. So that reminds me exactly what my plan was for the colours. There were no layers on these elements, so I've just popped those in. Got a second page, or mat I should say, and that is black, yellow and red. And again, there's little Winnie's jumper. This is the only one that actually required layers, was Winnie himself. And on this occasion, I'm actually going to cut those layers rather than colour. So we've got Winnie in black, we've got the yellow part of Winnie, and then we've got the red. And I'm also going to do my letters in red. Okay, so the next thing that I did was I grabbed some nice cardboard. Now this is quite nice heavy card that I had. This is just come out of some packaging for I don't even know what, maybe I don't know what it was from now. I tend to keep any sort of packaging like this that seems quite nice strength, because it's got a really nice strength to it, some of these packagings. So I keep a selection of these as I see them. I don't tend to keep cereal boxes because you tend to need to layer those a couple of layers to get the strength. And especially for notebooks, you really do want to make sure it's got a little bit of strength to it, because otherwise it's just going to end up looking quite cheap. And so it doesn't have quite the good effect. It just so happens this has got the white on it, but I'm not going to actually keep it that colour anyway, but you could do if you wanted to, if you had something like that. Anyway, so I've cut 2 pieces to the 8.25 by 6 inches. So we've got those 2 pieces, one for the front, one for the back. So I'm going to put one to one side at the moment because we don't need that. And the first thing I want to do is I want to cover the front of this with some blue cardstock, because obviously with that design, the part of this card is obviously going to be the sky, so we're going to put the sky down in place. Okay, so I found a piece of blue cardstock, and you can hear my Cricut going in the background there, so I've just started the cutting. So I found this lovely Coordinations blue. Now it doesn't need to go right to the bottom because we're going to be putting the green on there, so I'm just going to pop that in place. I'm not worried about that little scratch because I'm going to obviously be putting a cloud there, so I'm not too worried about that either. Okay, so I'm going to use some wet glue. I've got some PVA tacky adhesive here because it's quite heavy cardstock, so hopefully I think it's going to be to about here. So just pop that on so we make sure we get a nice firm hold. And then I've just got one of these rollers, which always helps just to make sure it's all flat and really stuck down. Okay, so then we'll just give that a few minutes to set before cutting off those excess edges. Okay, so I've covered both sides. I just added the little excess that I cut off on the bottom here. This is going to be covered up, but I didn't want like a dip where I put the grass on, so I just put that on there. This was Coordinations blue, so I took my buffing block and I've gone around the edges and just given it a bit of a distressed look on both. And then on the inside of my covers, I've done the yellow, although I may actually flip it around so that it's got the yellow on the back. I think that might be more fun actually, so I probably will do that. Okay, so that's all covered. So now we need this piece. Our back piece we don't need anymore, and we need to start assembling the actual design on the front. Okay, so here are the pieces that I cut out, and as you can see they look really, really cool. And I kept this piece to use as a template because they'd set the clouds out in the nice position, so I thought that I can just pop that on there ready so that I can see, you know, exactly where to position them, because I just thought it looked really nice how they had it. So that's the only reason I kept that scrap. So the first thing I want to do is put our hills and grass on. I ended up with 2 of these pieces of grass for some reason, but anyway. So I'm going to use wet glue again. Now obviously this has got a wobbly part, you know, it's not straight along the bottom piece here, so I'm going to have to just very slightly take it over the edge, and then we'll use our scissors or probably our craft knife just to take that off, because obviously it will be showing on the edge, but I don't want any of the blue to show. So I'm going to use my wet glue, and it was about to there I think roughly, so just take it a little bit past that point so we can make sure that we are definitely gluing it down. And I really like this sticky PVA. It works really well with this. I think this is, I'm not sure. I think it might be basil cardstock. Can't remember. It's just kind of shoved in the drawer. Okay, so we'll pop that down like so. Now, obviously, I'm not going to do any of the cutting at this point because we don't want it to fall apart. Now, what we wanted here was this piece of grass to go there. What we need is our fence to go on there as well, but I really want the fence to be kind of behind this bit of grass like so. So we're going to have to put our fence down next. So just taking again the wet glue. And you could do this, if you were doing this as a card, you wouldn't necessarily have to use your wet glue. It's just because it is going to be a notebook, so it's going to get more heavy use. So you want to make sure it's nice and secure. So I'm going to pop that. My grass in place so I can see. Yep, I think that's about right. There we go. So you see, the reason I put the grass in is that obviously that part of the fence looks like it's floating, but when we put that in, it's going to be absolutely fine. Just making sure it's nice and stuck. Now I do sometimes use this roller to really just flatten these down, and then these squelchy bits you can just rub off, or it will dry clear if you, but I tend to like to get rid of it just in case it leaves like a little line. But then it really just again just pushes that down nicely. So then we're going to pop him in place just about there, and already it's just coming together so nicely. This is the advantage I think of designing the actual thing on the gypsy itself, because you kind of know where you want to put things, you know they're going to be the right size, you know, kind of all that hard work is done. I guess the same thing would apply for the Cricut craft room. Just making sure I'm going up onto those points. You guys know what I'm like with my glue. I couldn't stand it if they were not stuck down. Again, especially on a notebook, because you know the person's going to be using it, so there we go. Oh, and I was going to ink those edges beforehand. Okay, so just very quickly, because I forgot, I just want to chalk these edges. So I'm just going to use a little dauber here and just chalk along the grass here, because as you saw when we stuck it down, you kind of lose it. And I probably should have put it on a piece of paper, but there we go. And I'm only doing the top edge, I'm not doing the bottom bit. Okay, so you can see the effect. Right, so I'll just pop that to one side a moment. I'm so naughty, I really am. Okay, and then we're going to get our other piece. So I'm using two colour chalks here, the darker one and the mid-tone, just to get a nice feel to it. And then what we're going to do, just to seal this in place, we're going to just put a little bit of spray, cheap hairspray, so that it doesn't come off or wipe onto her hands as she's using the book. Okay. So just moving all our other pieces. Literally just got a Chemistone brand, and I'm just going to do a very light spray, and that will just seal the chalk in. It smells nice too. Okay, now I'm going to have to turn my thing over because I made it all dirty. I'll clean that later. Not. And then I'm going to get that bit back, and I'm going to re-glue. And I hope that will now stand out just a little bit more. And again. So now I just want to make sure I go in the same place, because I want the glue to show. There we go. So you can see it just stands out a little bit more now. And then lastly, on this grassy bit, I think I was just thinking I might put another piece of grass. Okay, so now we're just going to glue on this piece, and then position this where we want it. Oops, bending bits. There we go. So that's that all cut off as well. So now we want to put our Winnie the Pooh together. Oh no, we don't, sorry. We need to put our clouds on. Now remember not to put these too high, because we've got to put our rings in. So we just need to make sure that they're in a nice position. And I think that's probably going to be okay, but let's just check about where Winnie's going to be. So he's going to be there, so that's going to be about perfect, I reckon. Okay, so again, just getting our wet glue, popping that on the back of the cloud, and positioning that using our little template here, which is jolly handy. And then with our baby cloud, pop him in. And there we go. And now we can push those down properly. And again, I might just use my little roller for that one. Hold that down. Okay. And then we want to put the letters in position. I'll do that at the end actually. And now I'm just going to put this to one side, and we're going to put our little Winnie together. So we've got the base, and then we've got these yellow pieces, and we've got his little red jumper. So now I did break my own rule and take these off the mat because I needed the mat, but I think it's probably pretty simple to work out. Perfect. Okay. Let's just see. I think it might be better to put our little red jumper on. So let's just put a little glue on the back of that. Oh, that was quite a lot of glue. Okay. And then pop that in position. And the reason I wanted to do that first was because, whoops, the yellow piece is, sorry, the red piece here was quite thin, so you kind of wanted to get it in the right place, and if you didn't leave yourself enough space or something, then that would be really annoying. Okay. Hopefully that's correct. Now let's do his little arm and see if that works out. Yeah, I think that's going to be fine. You might find this easier if you've got tweezers or something if you prefer, but I don't think it's too fiddly. Oops. Just check which way around that goes. That way. Nearly did it upside down. It's only because the paper was textured that I realised. Okay. And then his bum and his legs. Oh, I got a little bit there that didn't pull out. There we go. His little leg, feet. Oops. Okay, and then the last piece is his little face. And I think I might put some glossy accents on his nose just to give that a cool look. There we go. But we'll see, it may not need it. And just pick up just to fiddle into place. I sometimes find that easier. Okay. And there is our little Winnie the Pooh. Isn't he cute? Okay, so I won't put any glossy accents or anything on his nose yet because, you know, we might smudge it or something. So we're going to sit him on the fence. Okay, so what I've done is I've just cut into my fence. I positioned Winnie and then I just sliced gently along each side and lifted that up. I should have done it before I stuck it down, but I didn't think about it because of course Winnie's sitting on the fence, but his little bottom would be behind and his little legs would be in front. So we want to just pop that like that so that his little bum is just hanging down behind the fence, so he actually looks like he really is sitting on it, like so. So I'm now going to glue Winnie down. Pop him in position. Now we need to work that with regard to our little fence piece as well. So I think that's going to be about right. So we'll pop him down like so, and then I'm just going to lift my little fence up and just re-put the glue on there and then stick that down in position so that a little Winnie, got a little bit of blue on there, there we go, is sitting actually over the fence. And I just think that just looks a little bit more effective. See, that just looks really much more effective than just kind of balancing him in position. And then the last thing we need to do on our front cover, no, not quite the last because I want to do my glossy accents, the nearly last thing is put the name of the lady for who this is for. So we'll pop. Now these are the Winnie Pooh font. So just position those how you want them. And then again just using wet glue, trying not to put too much on because it just leaks everywhere otherwise. Okay, And then again, I think I'm just going to take my little roller so that we can be sure that it's absolutely lovely stuck down, and the same over here, like so. And then I'm just going to get my glossy accents. Okay, and then finally I'm just going to put a nice blob. Oh, it's a bit of a squeeze, this one, because it needs a bit of a sorting out, but of the glossy accents on his nose. All dry, and then we'll come back and we'll put this book together. Okay, so what I've done now is I took some yellow paper and I took 2 shades, as you can see, really pretty, and I cut them into a 1/4 inch down, so I think it's about 8 inches by 5 3/4, so it's just a 1/4 inch down from the size of the cover, just so it's got that little margin around the edge, which makes it look better. I then used my cinch and I worked out what I needed to do to get it evenly spaced across, and I've got 10 holes, so I've already punched those, and I need now just to punch the back and the front of my actual booklet. So just taking our cinch, so I've set it up and I've got the first 10 pins pushed in, which means they'll be punching, and then I've just moved this over very slightly by about 1/8 of an inch in order that that centralises it on my piece of card, and you just need to play around with that. I've been doing this enough now that I realised that for this size book that's what I need to do. I'm just going to pop one piece in at a time, and I'm going to do my back one first, just in case there's any horrible mistakes. At least I can replace the back one easily. So punch that down. Whoops. And then the second piece, which is a little bit more fiddly to do. Now I'm putting it good side down, just in case again there's anything happens, and I can at least replace that back piece. Okay, so that's all gone through nicely. Okay, so then the next thing we want to do is put the book in the correct order that we want it to be in, so that you've effectively putting it together but without your wire. So I'm just trying to decide whether I want the blue on the outside. I think I want the blue on the outside on both, because I think that looks better. So that's what we've done. So then what you want is I've got my wire here, and I've cut off at 10 holes, and what I've done, if you can see, is I've made sure that that end piece is nice and smooth. If it has a sticky out piece, it catches you, and you may want to just go along with your buffer just to smooth that edge off, to take any rough bits off. And then you take that and you take the little hooped ends and you pop it over the hooks at the side of the cinch, just there, so it holds it in place. Then what we want to do is that we want to make sure that the join, when we squeeze the hoops together, the ring together, the join is actually in here, not on the outside. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take your book and twist it as if you're flipping it around the rings, like so, and then that will pop it into place correctly. So we're going to put our papers on next, and then hook this all onto here. So that's all on there, so then you just lift that off, so you've got that all nicely on the rings. Then you turn it around and you just cinch it in here. There's a setting at the side. I've got it at the 3/4 inch, and I'm just going to watch it from the side because I want to make sure it's cinching down. I don't do it all in one go because sometimes that just squashes it wrong, so we just do it nice and carefully, and then turn it over if necessary to make sure that the circle stays circular. Whoops. Or not. There we go. So it's really nicely done, and then all we need to do is pull that piece back over to the back, and then the inside part, that part is on the join part is on the inside of the booklet, So the rings, it means it goes around much simpler and much nicer and easier. So one finished notebook. And I think the red on the top just brings that all together. So I hope you've enjoyed making this booklet with me. I think it's a really fun one, and I hope you enjoy something just a little bit different, and we do love our Disney. So I hope you enjoyed it, and love to hear your comments. And if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.